so much to do, so little time. What? Elsie!
What is it now, Ethel? Let me help you.
Please? Finally.
All right, find it out.
Try.
Together. Just repeat. Together, I will handle this now. Thank you. Oh, hurry now. You're coming. This, okay, I'll take this down.
Go, go. Is that the boat?
Yes.
Oh dear, already? Have you remembered everything?
I think so. Lemons, slip soles, cream, eggs, tomatoes, and butter. That's all, wasn't it?
That's right. So much to do. I don't know where to start. No maids till the morning. All of these guests arriving today.
Oh, calm down, Ethel. Everything is shipshape now. Looks nice, right, Fred?
Looks neat enough for me. Kind of bare, but rich folks like places bare, it seems.
Rich folks is queer.
And a queer sort of gentleman has built this place. Spent a wicked lot of money on it, he did, and then gets tired of it and puts the whole place up for sale.
Beats me why the Owens wanted to buy it. Living on an island.
Oh, come off it, Ethel, and take all of this out into the kitchen. They'll be here any minute now.
Making that steep climb an excuse for a drink, I suppose. Like some others I know.
That'd be young Jim. I'll be getting along. There's 2 gentlemen arriving by car, I understand.
I shall want at least 5 loaves in the morning and 8 pints of milk. Remember.
Right.
And don't forget the oil for the engine, Fred. I have to charge it tomorrow or I'll have the lights running again.
It was held up at the railway. It's at the station now. I'll bring it across first thing tomorrow.
And give a hand to the luggage, will you?
Right.
I forgot to give you a list of the guests, Elsie.
Oh, thanks, little girl. Let's see. Doesn't look a very classy lot to me. Miss Claiborne. She'll probably be the secretary.
I don't hold much with secretaries. Worse than hospital nurses. Them giving themselves airs and graces, looking down on the servants.
Oh, stop browsing that phone and cuddle on to that lovely, up-to-date, expensive kitchen quarters.
Too many newfangled gadgets for my fancy.
So this is it.
Oh, how perfectly lovely.
Miss Claiborne?
You're Rogers.
Yes, good evening, miss.
Good evening, Rogers. Will you bring up my luggage and Captain Lombard's?
Very good, miss.
You've been here before?
No, but I've heard a lot about the place.
From Mr. and Mrs. Owen.
No, old Johnny Brewer, a pal of mine, built this house. It's a sad and poignant story.
A love story?
Yes, ma'am, the saddest of all. He was a wealthy old boy and fell in love with the famous Lily Logan. Married her, bought the island, and built this place for her.
Sounds most romantic.
Poor Johnny. He thought by cutting her off from the rest of the world, without even a telephone as means of communication, he could hold her.
But of course, the fair Lily tired of her ivory tower and escaped.
Johnny went back to Wall Street, made a few more millions, and the place was sold.
And here we are. Well, I ought to find Mrs. Owen. The others will be up in a minute.
It would be very rude to leave me here all by myself.
Would it? Oh. Well, I wonder where she is.
She'll come along when she's ready. While we're waiting, do you think I could have a drink? I'm very dry.
Of course you could.
Certainly is warm up here after that steep climb. What's yours?
Oh, no thanks, not for me. Not on duty.
A good secretary is never off duty.
Really, this is exciting.
What is?
All this. The smell of the sea, the gulls, the beach, and this lovely house. I'm going to enjoy myself.
Yes, I think you are. I think we both are. Here's to you. You're very lovely.
Where is Mrs. Owen?
Oh, Mrs. Owen will be down from London until tomorrow, miss. I thought you knew.
Tomorrow?
But I have a list here of all the guests expected, miss, if you'd like to have it. The second boatload's just arriving.
Thank you. How awful. I say, you will be sweet and help me, won't you?
I won't move from your side.
Thank you. It seems silly to have brought only us in the first boat, and all the rest in the second.
That, I'm afraid, was design, not accident.
Design? What do you mean?
I suggested to the boatman that there was no need to wait for any more passengers. That and 5 shillings soon started up the engine.
You shouldn't have done that.
Well, they're not a very exciting lot now, are they?
I thought the young man was rather nice looking.
Callow. Definitely callow, and very, very young.
I suppose you think a man in his 30s is more attractive.
I don't think, my dear. I know.
Wizard place you have here.
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Oh, too bad.
May I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr.
Marston. Anthony Marston.
Have a drink?
Yes, thank you.
What do you have? Gin, whiskey, sherry?
Whiskey, I think. Wonderful place you got here.
I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow.
Say when.
Oh, wizard.
My name's Lombard. Have a drink, Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
Mr. Davis. Mr. Marston.
How are you, Mr. Marston?
Pleased to meet you.
I don't mind if I do. Bit of a stiff climb up here, but one of you, what a height. Reminds you of South Africa, this place.
Does it? What part?
Oh, Natal, Durban, you know.
Really?
Well, here's to temperance. Do you, know South Africa?
Me? No.
That's where I come from. That's my Natal state.
Most interesting country, I should think.
Finest country in the world, sir. Gold, silver, diamonds, oranges, everything a man could want. Talk about a land flowing with beer and Skittles.
How do you do? General Mackenzie, isn't it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down until tomorrow. May I introduce Captain Lombard, Mr. Marston, Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
Whiskey and soda, sir?
Please. You in the service?
Formerly in the King's African Rifles. Too tame for me in peacetime. I chucked it.
Pity. Where is Mrs. Owen?
Miss Brent, isn't it? I'm Mrs. Owen's secretary. Mrs. Owen has been detained in London, I'm afraid, and won't be down
until tomorrow.
Indeed.
Extraordinary. Did she miss the train?
I expect so. Won't you have something? May I introduce Captain Lombard, General Mackenzie, Mr. Marston? I think you all met on the boat. Oh, Mr.
Davis. Davis is the name.
May I take your case? Ow!
Would you let me get you something? A dry martini? A glass of sherry? Whiskey and soda?
I never touch alcohol.
You never touched alcohol.
I suppose you know, young man, that you left us standing there on the wharf.
I'm afraid, Miss Brent, I was to blame for that. I wanted
It
to...
seems to me most extraordinary that Mrs. Owens isn't here to receive her guests.
Perhaps she's the kind of person who just can't help missing trains.
That's what I reckon she is.
Not at all. Mrs. Owens is the least like that.
Perhaps it was her husband's fault.
She hasn't got a husband. I should like to go to my room.
Of course. I'll take you there.
You'll find my sister upstairs, miss. She'll show you the room.
I'm afraid our host and hostess haven't arrived, sir. My name's Lombard.
Mine's Wargrave. How do you do?
How do you do? Have a drink, sir?
Yes, please. A whiskey.
How are you? Davis. Davis is the name.
Wonderful place you got here. Quite unique.
As you say, quite unique.
Your drink, sir.
Old Badger Berkeley rolled up yet?
Who did you say?
Badger Berkeley. He wrote me in for this show. When's he coming?
I don't think he is coming. Nobody of the name of Berkeley.
That dirty old double-crosser. He's let me down. Well, it's a pretty wizard island. Rather wizard girl, that secretary. She ought to liven things up a bit. I say, old man, what about dressing for dinner if there's time?
Let's go and explore.
Oh, wizard!
Things are a bit at 6s and 7s with the Owens not turning up.
Tricky, what? I say wizard place for a hall, what?
Aren't you going to sit down?
Well, to tell you the truth, you seem to be in my chair.
I am sorry, I didn't realize you were one of the family.
Well, it's not that exactly. To tell you the truth, I've never been here before. But you see, I was at the Benton Club. Have for the last 10 years, and my seat is just about there. Can't get used to sitting anywhere else.
It becomes a bit of a habit.
Yes, it certainly does, thank you. Well, it's not quite as good as the club's, but it's a nice chair. To tell you the truth, I was a bit surprised when I got this invitation. Haven't had anything of the kind for well over 4 years. Very nice of them, I thought.
May I have your keys, sir?
Sorry, I'll unpack myself. Is Lady Constance Comington expected here, can you tell me?
Oh, Lady Constance Comington. No, I don't think so, sir, unless she's coming down with Mr. and Mrs. Owen.
Oh,
Oh, allow me, sir.
No, thanks. I'll unpack for myself.
Dinner's at 8 o'clock. Shall I show you to your room?
Please.
Here you are, miss. I'll call Rogers.
Thank you.
Rogers!
How are you? Davis. Davis is the name.
Mine's Armstrong.
Dr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Thought so. Never forget a face.
Oh, don't tell me I've forgotten one of my patients.
Oh no, nothing like that. But I once saw you in court giving expert evidence.
Oh, really?
Have a drink?
No, thanks. I never touch it.
Mind if I do? Mine's empty.
Not a bit.
I've been having a look around the island. Wonderful place, isn't it?
Wonderful. I thought as I was coming across the mainland, what a haven of peace this was.
Too peaceful for some, I dare say.
Wonderfully restful. Wonderful for the nerves. I'm a nerve specialist, you know.
Yes, I know. Did you come down by train?
No, I motored down, dropped in on a patient on the way. Great improvement. Wonderful response.
That's part of 200 miles, isn't it? How long did it take you?
I didn't hurry. I never hurry. Bad for the nerves. Some mannerless young fellow nearly drove me into the ditch past Ansbury. Shot by at almost 80 miles an hour. Disgraceful bit of driving. I'd like to have had his number.
Yes, and if only more people would take the numbers of these young road hogs.
Yes, you must excuse me. I must have a word with Mr. Owen.
Oh, but Mr. Owen isn't coming down.
Evening, sir.
Yes, take my hat, will you? What time's dinner?
Dinner's at 8 o'clock. In about a quarter of an hour, I should say. I think tonight's dressing will be optional.
Got a good place here.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Been here long.
Just under a week, sir.
Is that all? So, I don't suppose you know much about the crowd that's here.
No, sir.
All old friends of the family.
I really couldn't say, sir.
Oh well. Oh, Rogers.
Yes, sir.
Do you think you could put some sandwiches and a bottle of beer in my room at night? I get a hell of an appetite with all this sea air.
I'll see what I can do, sir.
Rogers, I'll see you won't lose by it. Where's my room?
I'll show you, sir.
Good. I can do with a wash and brush up straight away.
So much to do. So much. This place is already disgusting. Who are you?
Oh, sorry, ma'am.
Who are you? And what is your business here?
Pardon me, I didn't mean to startle you. I'm Captain Jim of the Mariana.
You gave me such a turn.
So sorry. I do apologize. Pleased to make your acquaintance, and you are?
You may call me Miss Rogers.
Pleased to meet you, Miss Rogers. I'm the new ferryboat captain, just hoping to bring the rest of the luggage down from the boat. Where do you want me to put them?
Just stick them in the hall near the steps. My sister can take care of them later.
Hey!
Sorry. Do you think the weather will stay favorable?
The question's on every sailor's mind this time of year. There was a red sky this morning, and the barometer keeps falling. My guess is we're in for some turbulent weather as the cold front moves through. But a little excitement's good for the soul.
Do you think the ferry service could be interrupted?
I can't imagine it would be interrupted for more than a few days. but we will have to mind the direction of the wind. Too stiff a gale out of the northeast, and the waves will crash against the pier, making docking the Mariana impossible.
Goodness. The weather has been so unpredictable as of late. I really should have ordered more butter and whiskey.
Yes, it's always good to have what you need, especially the essentials.
Who decides if the ferry runs?
The harbor master is the one to make the call, but he knows the importance of the ferry and doesn't cancel willy-nilly.
How long might we wait for service to resume? If it is canceled?
I can't imagine more than a few days. Would you like me to put in an order for additional provisions now?
No, that's all right. I've already given a list to Fred.
Very good, miss.
How do you manage in rough seas?
Oh, we have our oilskins to keep the rain off, but frankly, I let the boat do most of the work.
Spoken like a true sailor.
Yes. Well, the time and the tide wait for no man. I should be going.
Safe travels, Captain Jim.
Afternoon, Miss Rogers.
Oh, there you are, Elsie. You ought to help me clear these dirty glasses. Always leaving the dirty work to me. Here I am with a 4-course dinner on my hands and no one to help me. Who was it that you were talking to, by the way?
Oh, Davis, the South African gentleman. No class if you ask me, and no money either.
I don't like him. Don't like any of them much. More like that bunch we had in the boarding house, I'd say.
Oh well. Davis gives out he's a millionaire or something, but you should see his underwear. Cheap as they make them.
Well, as I said, it's not treating us right. No maid till tomorrow and all these guests arriving today. What do they think we are?
Now then, anyway, the money's good.
So it ought to be. Catch me going to service again? Unless the money were good.
Well, it is good, so what are you going on about?
Well, I can tell you this, Elsie. I'm not staying any place where I'm put upon. Cooking's my business. I'm a good cook.
First rate, old girl.
Housework's none of my business. Do it. All these guests. I've got a good mind to put my hat, coat on, walk out now, and go straight back to Plymouth.
But you can't do that, old girl.
Who says I can't? And why not? I should like to know.
Because you're on an island, old girl. Had you forgotten that?
Yes. Don't know as I fancy being on an island.
Don't know that I do either, come to think of it. No more slipping down to a pub or going to the pictures. Oh, it is double wages on account of all the difficulties, and there's plenty of beer in the house.
That's all you ever think about. Beer.
Now, stop your nagging and hurry along to the kitchen or your dinner will be spoiled.
It'll be spoiled anyway, I expect. Everybody is going to be late. Waste on them anyway. Thank goodness I didn't make a sequoia. Dinner won't be a minute, miss. Just a question of dishing up.
Is everything all right, Rogers? Can you manage between the two of you?
Yes, thank you, miss. My sister. She talks a lot, but she gets the job done.
What a lovely evening. Indeed, the weather seems very settled. How plainly one can hear the sea. A pleasant sound, hardly a breath of wind, and deliciously warm. Not like England at all. I should have thought you might feel a little uncomfortable in that dress. Oh no, it's rather tight, isn't it? I don't think so. You'll excuse me, my dear, but you are a young girl, and you've got your living to earn. Yes, a well-bred woman doesn't like her secretary to appear flashy. It looks, you know, as though you were trying to attract the attention of the opposite sex. And would you say I do attract them? That's beside the point. A girl who deliberately sets out to get the attention of men won't be likely to keep her job long. Surely that depends on who she's working for. Really, Miss Claythorne, aren't you being a little unkind? Young people nowadays behave in the most disgusting fashion. Disgusting? Yes! Yes! Low-backed evening dresses. Low-backed evening dresses. Lying half naked on beaches. All this so-called sunbathing. An excuse for immodest conduct. Nothing more. Familiarity. Christian names. Drinking cocktails. And look at the young men nowadays. Decadent. Look at that young Marston. How good is he? And that Captain Lombard. What do you object to in Captain Lombard? I should say he was a man who led a very varied and interesting life. The man's an adventurer. All this younger generation is no good. No good at all. You don't like youth, I see. What do you mean? I was just remarking that you don't like young people.
And is there any reason why I should, pray?
Well, no. But it seems to me that you must miss an awful lot.
You're very impertinent.
I'm sorry, but that's just what I think.
The world will never improve until we stamp out immodesty.
Quite pathological.
What did you say?
Nothing.
What about the old boy?
He looks rather like a tortoise, don't you think?
Oh, all judges look like tortoises. They've got that venomous way of darting their heads in and out. Mr. Justice Wargrave is no exception.
I hadn't realized he was a judge.
Oh yes, he's probably been responsible for sending more innocent people to their deaths than anyone in England. Hello, you. Do you two know each other? Dr. Armstrong, Miss Claythorne? Dr. Armstrong and I have just decided that the old boy looks rather like a
Yes, I
tortoise.
heard you, and so did he, I think.
Oh, Sir Lawrence,
Miss Brent, isn't it?
I have something I want to ask you. Will you come out here?
A remarkably fine night.
Absolutely wizard car! A supercharged sports car Lady Carlotta? You don't see many of them on the road. I can get over 100 out of her.
Did you come down from London?
Yes, 208 miles. And I did it in a bit over 4 hours.
Wow.
Too many cars on the road though to keep it up. Touched 90 going over Salisbury Plain. Not too bad, huh?
I think you passed me on the road.
Oh, yes?
You nearly drove me into the ditch.
Did I? Sorry.
If I have seen your number, I have reported you.
But you were footling along in the middle of the road.
Footling? Me?
Hey,
Footling?
what about a drink?
Good idea. Will you have one, Miss Clayton?
No, thank you.
Hello, Mrs. Owen.
Why, Mrs. Owen?
You would make the most attractive wife for any wealthy businessman.
Do you always flirt so outrageously?
Always.
Well, now we know.
Say, what do you think old Miss Brent is talking to the judge about? She tried to buttonhole him upstairs.
I don't know. Funny, she seemed so definite there wasn't a Mr. Owen.
Say, you don't think that Mrs. Owen, well, I mean that there isn't, well, that they aren't.
What, married you mean?
Well, yes, it's a shame we didn't know each other. I could have given you a lift down.
Yes, that would have been grand.
Like to show you what I can do across Salisbury Plain. Tell you what, maybe we can drive back together?
Oh, well, I was going to go back with Captain
But it
Long.
seems silly. I've got an empty car.
Yes, but she rather likes the way she's going back.
Oh, look, aren't they sweet? Those 10 little China soldiers. And there's the old nursery rhyme.
What are you talking about? What figures? What rhyme?
10 little soldier boys going out to dine. One choked his little self, and then there were 9. 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself, and then there were 8.
8 little soldier boys traveling in Devon. One got left behind, and then there were 7. 7 little soldier
Ladies and gentlemen, silence, please. You are charged with these indictments. That you did respectively and at diverse times commit the following. Helen Armstrong, that you did cause the death of Louisa Mary Cleese.
What is this?
William Henry Bloor, that you brought about the death of James Stephen Landor. Emily Carolyn Brent, that you were responsible for the death of Beatrice Taylor. Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, that you killed Peter Ogilvie Hamilton. Philip Lombard, that you were guilty of the deaths of 21 men, members of an East African tribe. John Gordon Mackenzie, that you sent your wife's lover, Arthur Richmond, to his death. Anthony James Marston, that you were guilty of the murder of John and Lucy Combs. Elsie and Ethel Rogers, that you brought about the death of Jennifer Brady. Lawrence John Wargrave, that you were guilty of the murder of Edward Seaton. Prisoners at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense?
She's fainted. That's all. She'll be round in a minute. Get some brandy.
Why don't you get some brandy?
Who was that speaking?
It sounded... What's going on here?
What kind of practical joke was that?
Where the devil did that voice come from? Ah, here we are.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's off!
silence,
Horrible!
please.
A disgraceful and heartless practical joke.
So you think it's a joke, do you?
What else could it be?
At the moment, I'm not prepared to give an opinion.
Well, who the devil turned it on instead of going?
We must inquire into that.
Oh, dear me. Oh, dear me.
Allow me, Doctor. If I just speak to her. Ethel, dear, it's all right. Do you hear me? It's all right. Pull yourself together now. You'll be all right.
You'll be all right now, Miss Rogers. Just a nasty turn.
Did I faint, Miss?
Yes.
Is that voice, that awful voice, like a judgment?
Where's the brandy? Drink this, Miss Rogers.
You'll feel better after this.
I'm all right. I just gave me such a turn.
Well, of course it did. Gave me a turn, too. Wicked lies it was. I'd like to know who turned...
Who was it? Put the record on the gramophone. Was it you, Rogers?
I was just obeying orders, sir. That's all.
Whose orders?
Mr. Owen's.
Let me get this quite clear. Mr. Owen's orders were what exactly?
I was to put a record on the gramophone in the study. I find the records in a drawer over there. It had this name on it. I thought it was just to give you all some music.
Is there a title?
A title? Yes, sir. It's entitled Swan Song.
The whole thing is preposterous. Preposterous! Slinging accusations about like this. Something must be done about it. This fellow, Owen, whoever he is, that's just it. Who is he?
That is exactly what we must go into very carefully. I should suggest you beat your sister to bed, Rogers. Then come back here.
Yes, sir.
I'll give you a hand.
Will she be all right, Doctor?
Yes, quite all right.
Don't know about you, sir, but I feel I need another drink.
I agree.
I'll get them.
Preposterous. That's what it is? Preposterous!
Whiskey for you, Sir Lawrence.
I should like a water, please. Yes, I'll get it. I'll have a little whiskey, too.
She's all right. I've given her a sedative.
You want a drink after all this, Doctor?
No, I never touch it.
Oh, so you said. You have this one, General.
Now then, Rogers, tell us what you know about Mr. Owen.
Well, he owns this place, sir.
I am aware of that fact, but I want you to tell me is what you yourself know about the man.
Well, I can't say, sir. You see, I've never seen him before.
What do you mean you've never seen him?
Well, we've only been here under a week, sir, my sister and I. We were engaged by a letter through a registry office, the Regina in Plymouth.
That's a high-class firm. We can check on that.
Do you have the letter?
The letter engaging us? Yes, sir. Here it is.
Go on with your story.
We arrived here like the letter said on the fort. Everything was in order, plenty of food in stock, just needed dusting and that.
What next?
Nothing. That is, we got orders to prepare the rooms for a house party of 8. Then yesterday, by the morning post, we received a letter saying that Mr. and Mrs. Owen was to be detained, and if so, we were to do the best we could. And it gave instructions about dinner and putting on the gramophone record. Here it is, sir.
Headed Ritz Hotel and typewritten.
Coronation machine, number 5. Quite new. No defects. You might try for fingerprints, but it's been handled too much.
Quite the little detective.
Got some fancy Christian names, hasn't he? Eulig, Norman, Owen. Quite a mouthful.
I'm obliged to you, Mr. Marston. You have brought my attention to a curious and suggestive point. I think the time has come for all of us to pool our information. I think it would be well for everybody to come forward with all the information they have about our unknown host. We are all his guests, so I think it would be profitable if each one of us were to explain exactly how that came about.
There's something very peculiar about all this. I received a letter with a signature that was not very easy to read. It purported to be from a woman whom I met at a certain summer resort 2 or 3 years ago. I took the name to be Ogden. I'm quite certain I have never met nor become acquainted with anyone of the name of Owen.
Do you have that letter, Miss Brent?
Yes, I will fetch it for you.
Miss Claythorne?
I never actually met Mrs. Owen. I wanted a holiday post and applied to a secretarial agency, Miss Grenfell's in London. I was offered this post and accepted.
And you were never interviewed by your prospective employer?
No, this is the letter.
Thank you. Soldier Island, Sticklehaven, Devon. I received your name from Miss Grenfell's agency. I understand she knows you personally. I shall be glad to pay the salary you ask and shall expect you to take up your duties on August 8th. The train will be 12:10 from Paddington and you will be met at Oakbridge Station. Yours truly, Una Nancy Owen. Mr. Marston?
Don't actually know the Owens. Got a wire from a pal of mine, Badger Berkeley. Told me to roll up here. Surprised me a bit, because I had the idea the old horse had gone to Norway. I haven't got the wire.
Thank you. Dr. Armstrong.
In the circumstances, I think I may admit that my visit here was professional. Mr. Owen wrote me that he was worried about his wife's health, her nerves, to be precise. He wanted a report without her being alarmed. He therefore suggested that my visit here should be regarded as that of an ordinary guest.
And you had no previous acquaintance with the family?
No,
But you had no hesitation in obeying the summons.
a colleague of mine was mentioned and a very handsome fee was suggested. I was due for a holiday anyway.
Thank you. Dear Miss Brent, I do hope you remember me. We were together at Bellahaven Guest House in August some years ago and seemed to have so much in common. I am starting a guest house of my own on an island off the coast of Devon. I shall be very glad if you could make your way to spending your summer holiday on Soldier Island, as my guest, of course. I suggest August 8th, 12:40 from Paddington to Oakbridge. Yours sincerely, UN. Yes, the signature is slightly ambiguous. Here is my own decoy letter from an old friend of mine, Lady Constance Holmington. She writes in her usual vague, incoherent way, urges me to join her here, and refers to her host and hostess in the vaguest of terms.
Wait here. I just thought of something.
In a minute.
No, but
we
I
will
think
take one thing at a time, if you don't mind, Captain Locke. General Mackenzie.
Got a letter from this fellow Owen. Thought I must have met him at the club sometime. Mentioned some old cronies of mine who were to be here. Hoped I'd excuse a formal invitation. Haven't kept the letter, I'm afraid.
And you, Captain Lombard.
Same sort of thing. Invitation mentioning mutual friends. Haven't got the letter either.
Just now, we have had a somewhat disturbing experience. An apparently disembodied voice has spoken to us all by name and uttered certain definite accusations. We will deal with these accusations presently. At the moment, I'm interested in a minor point. Amongst the names received was that of William Henry Lord. But as far as we know, there's no one of that name amongst us. The name of Davis was not mentioned. What have you to say about this, Mr. Davis?
Cat's out of the bag, it seems. I suppose I'd better admit my name isn't Davis.
You are William Henry Lord?
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
I will add something to that. Not only are you here under a false name, Mr. Blore, but in addition, I've noticed this evening that you are a first-class liar. You claim to have come from Natal, South Africa. I know South Africa and Natal well, and I'm prepared to swear you've never set foot there in your life.
Gentlemen, you've got me all wrong. I'm an ex-CID man.
Oh, great, a copper.
I have the credentials, and I can prove it. I run a detective agency in Plymouth. I was put onto this job.
By whom?
Why, Mr. Owen sent a very nice money order for expenses and said I was to join the house party, posing as a guest. He also sent a list of all your names and said I was to keep an eye on you all.
Any reason given?
Said Miss Owen had some valuable jewels. Miss Owen, my foot. I don't believe there's any such person.
Your conclusions are, I think, justified. Ulick Norman Owen, Una Nancy Owen, each time that is to say, U.N. Owen. Or by a slight stretch of fancy, unknown.
But it's fantastic. Mad.
Oh yes, I've no doubt in my own mind that we have been invited here by a madman. Probably a dangerous, homicidal lunatic. Whoever it is who has enticed us here, that person has taken the trouble to find out a great deal about us. A very great deal. And out of his knowledge concerning us, he has made certain definite accusations.
But it's all lies!
I wish to say this. Our unknown friend accuses me of the murder of one Edward Seaton. I remember Seaton perfectly well. He came before me for trial in June 1930. He was accused of the murder of an elderly woman. He was very ably defended and made a good impression on the jury in the witness box. Nevertheless, on the evidence, he was certainly guilty. I summed up accordingly, and the jury brought in a verdict of guilty. On passing sentence of death, I fully concurred with this verdict. The appeal was lodged on the grounds of misdirection and was dismissed, and the man was duly executed. I wish to say before you all that my conscience is perfectly clear on the matter. I did my duty and nothing more. I passed sentence on a rightly convicted murderer.
Did you know Seaton at all? I mean, personally?
I knew nothing of Seaton previous to the trial.
The old boy's lying. I'll swear he's lying.
The fellow's a madman. Absolute madman. Got a bee in his bonnet. Got hold of the wrong end of the stick all around. Best really to leave these sort of things unanswered. However, feel I ought to say, no truth whatever in what he said about a young Arthur Richmond. Arthur was one of my officers. I sent him on reconnaissance in 1917. He was killed. Also like to say, resent very much, slur on my wife. Been dead a long time. Best woman in the world. Absolutely. Caesar's wife.
I've just been thinking, John and Lucy Combs must have been a couple of kids right over near Cambridge.
What the hell?
Nicely done.
Bad luck for them or for you?
Well, I was thinking for me, but of course you're right, sir. It was bad luck for them too. It was an accident. They were out of some cottage or other. I had my license suspended for a year. Beastly nuisance.
This speeding's all wrong. All wrong. Young men like you are a danger to the community.
I couldn't help it. It was just an accident.
I say a word, sir.
Go ahead, Rogers.
There is a mention, sir, of me and my sister and of a Miss Jennifer Brady. There isn't a word of truth to it. Well, we were with Miss Brady the night that she died, and she was always in poor health from the moment we came to her. There was a storm, sir, the night that she died, and the telephone was out of order. So we couldn't get a doctor to her. I went for him on foot, sir, but he didn't get there in time. She was gone. We'd done everything possible for her, devoted to her we were, and anyone will tell you the same thing. There was never a word spoken against us. Never a word.
Came into a nice little bit of something out of death, didn't you?
Miss Brady left us a legacy in recognition of our faithful service. And why not, I'd like to know.
What about yourself, Mr. Bloor?
What about me?
Your name was on the list?
Yes, Landor. That was the London commercial bank robbery.
I remember the name, though it didn't come before me. Landor was convicted on your evidence. You were the officer in charge of the case.
I was, my lord.
Landor got penal servitude for life and died in Dartmoor a year later. He was a delicate man.
It was a crook. It was him put the night watchman out. The case was clear from the start.
You were complimented, I think, on your able handling of the case.
I got my promotion. I was only doing my duty.
Convenient word, duty. What about you, Dr. Armstrong?
I'm at a loss to understand the matter. The name meant nothing to me. What was it? Close? Close? I really don't remember having a patient of that name, or its being connected to a death in any way. The thing's a complete mystery to me. It may have possibly been one of my operation cases in hospital. They come too late. So many of these people. Then when the patient dies, it's always the surgeon's fault.
And then it's better to take up nerve cases and give up surgery. Some, of course, give up drink.
I protest. You've no right to insinuate such things. I never touch alcohol.
My dear lady, I never suggested you did. Anyway, Mr. Unknown Owen is the only one who knows all the facts.
Miss Claythorne,
I was nursery governess to Peter Hamilton. We were in Cornwall for the summer. He was forbidden to swim out far. One day, when my attention was distracted, he started off. As soon as I saw what happened, I swam after him, but I couldn't get to him in time.
Was there an inquest?
Yes, I was exonerated by the coroner. His mother didn't blame me either.
Thank you. Miss Brent.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Reserve your defense.
There is no question of defense. I have always acted according to the dictates of my conscience.
Well, what a law-abiding lot we all seem to be, myself excepted.
We are waiting for your story, Captain Lombard.
I haven't got a story.
What do you mean?
I'm sorry to disappoint all of you. It's just that I plead guilty. It's absolutely true. I left those natives alone in the bush. Matter of self-preservation.
You abandoned your men.
Not quite the act of a proper gentleman, I'm afraid. But after all, self-preservation's a man's first duty.
Our inquiry rests there. Now, Rogers, who else is there on this island except ourselves and you and your sister?
Nobody, sir. Nobody at all.
You're sure of that?
Yes, I'm sure.
Thank you. Don't go, Rogers. I'm not yet clear as to the purpose of our unknown host in getting us to assemble here, but in my opinion, he's not sane in the accepted sense of the word. He could be dangerous. In my opinion, I think it would be well if we leave this place as soon as possible. I suggest we leave here tonight.
I beg your pardon, sir, but there's no boat for that on this island.
No boat at all.
No, sir.
Well, couldn't we just telephone to the mainland?
Well, there's no telephone either. Fred Narracott, he comes over every morning. He brings the bread, the milk, the post, and the papers, and then he takes the orders.
A bit unsporting, what? Ought to ferret out the whole mystery before we leave. Whole thing's like a detective story. Positively thrilling.
At my time of life, I have no desire for thrills.
The legal life's narrowing. I'm all for crime. Here's to it.
Dr. Armstrong?
Mr. Marston!
My God, he's dead! Dead? Do you mean that fellow just choked and died? You can call it choking if you like. He died of asphyxiation, right enough. Never knew a man could die like that.
Just of a choking fit in the middle of life. We are in death.
Good Lord.
A man doesn't die of a mere choking fit, General Mackenzie. Marston's death isn't what we call a natural death.
Was there something in the whiskey?
Yes, by the smell of it, cyanide. Probably potassium cyanide. Acts pretty well instantaneously.
Then he must have put the stuff in the glass himself.
Suicide, eh? That's a rum go.
You'd never think he'd commit suicide. He was so alive. He was enjoying himself. Oh, look. Here's one of the little soldiers off the mantelpiece. Broken.
Did you open this?
What?
This letter. I found it in the boathouse. It's anonymous.
I found it on the door this morning. It was addressed to the crew of the Mariana.
No, I mean the sender's anonymous, you nitwit. There's no name or return address on the envelope. And why did you think you could open it? I'm the captain of the Mariana.
Yeah. Give it here. Fancy paper from the Ritz Hotel.
The Ritz Hotel? Do you mean the one in London?
I don't know. How am I supposed to know what Ritz Hotel means? The stationery doesn't say.
You're right, I was a fool to ask you. Did you even read it?
I'm reading it now. Don't be so pushy, Captain.
I can't make heads or tails of it.
Seems pretty straightforward to me. Please do not return to the house on Soldier Island for any reason. The house is well stocked, and the guests have everything they need to make them comfortable for the week. Some fun and games will be going on, which may include different types of signals and bonfires. Ignore these signals. They're only part of the game. There's no signature.
Don't you think it's a little odd?
Not really. Soldier Island's had lots of crazy parties before. That millionaire do crazy shindigs all the time. You're new around here. You'll get used to it.
I still think it's odd.
Well, a hell of a time trying to light a bonfire for a game. There's stormy weather coming on.
Yeah, I should tie them around to the dock. Give me a hand, will you?
Sure.
What should we do with the letter?
I don't know. Burn it, I guess. We don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but still, I think it's strange.
Been up to the top. No sign of that boat yet.
It's very early still.
Oh, I know. Still, the fellow brings the bread and the milk and all that. I should have thought he got here before this. No sign of breakfast yet. Where's Rogers?
Oh, don't let's bother about breakfast.
How's the weather looking?
The wind's freshened a bit. Rather a mackerel sky. Oh, boy on the train yesterday said we were due for dirty weather. I shouldn't wonder if he wasn't right.
I wish that boat would come. The sooner we get off this island, the better. It's absurd not keeping a boat on the island.
No proper harbor. If the wind comes to blow from the southeast, a boat will get dashed to pieces against the rocks.
But a boat would always be able to make us from the mainland.
No, Miss Brent. That's just what it wouldn't.
Do you mean we should be cut off from the land?
Yes. Condensed milk, Revita, and tin stuff, till the gale blows stuff out. But you needn't worry. The sea's only a bit choppy. Hey.
I think the pleasures of living on an island are rather overrated.
I wonder when that boat's coming. Annoying, the way the house is built. Slap up against the cliff. You can't see the mainland until you've climbed to the top. Shall we go up there again?
It's no use, Doctor. A watch pot never boils. Besides, there was no sign of a boat putting out when we were up there just now.
What can this man Narracott be doing?
They're all like that in Devon. Never hurry themselves.
And where's Rogers? She ought to be about.
I reckon Master Rogers was pretty badly rattled last night.
I know. Ghastly. The whole thing.
Got the wind up properly. I'd take an even bet that she and her sister did do the old lady in.
You really think so?
Well, I never saw so more scared in my life. Guilty as hell, I should say.
Fantastic. The whole thing. Fantastic.
I say, suppose she's hopped it.
Who? Rogers? But there isn't any way she could. There's no boat on the island. You've just said so.
Yes, but I've been thinking. We've only Rogers' word for that. Suppose there is one, and she's nipped off in it first thing.
Oh, no. She wouldn't be allowed to leave the island.
Sleep well, General.
I dreamed, yes, I dreamed.
I don't wonder at that.
I dreamed of Leslie. My wife, you know.
Oh, yes. I wish Naricot would come.
Who is Naricot?
The bloke that brought us over here yesterday afternoon.
Was it only yesterday?
Yes, I feel like that too. Batty gramophone records, suicides, it's about all a man can stand. I shouldn't be sorry to see the back of Soldier Island. I give you my word.
So you don't understand. How strange.
I don't like the look of him.
I reckon young Marston's suicide was a pretty awful shock. He looks years older.
Where is that poor young fellow now?
In the study. Put him there myself.
Dr. Armstrong, I suppose it was suicide?
What else could it be?
I don't know, but suicide?
I had a pretty awful feeling in the night. Suppose this Mr. Unknown Owen is on this island. Rogers may not know, or he told her to say so. Pretty awful thought, isn't it?
But would it have even been possible for anyone to tamper with Marston's drink without our seeing them?
Well, it was sitting right up there. Anyone could have slipped a dollhouse cyanide in it if they
But-
wanted to.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh, there you are, miss. I've been looking everywhere for you. Will you come up and have a look at my sister?
Of course. Is she feeling under the weather still?
She's...
What?
She's...
You won't leave this island without me?
I wish the boat would come. I hate this place.
Yes, I think the sooner we can get in touch with the police, the better.
The police?
Well, the police must be notified in the case of suicide, you know, Miss Clayford.
Oh, yes. Of course.
Still no sign of breakfast. And when the hell's that boat coming?
Are you hungry, General? Feeling like breakfast?
Leslie? Leslie, my dear!
No, I'm not. I'm Vera Claythorne.
Of course. Forgive me. I took you for my wife.
Oh,
I was waiting for her, you see.
but I thought your wife was dead. Long ago.
Yes, I thought so too, but I was wrong. She's here. On this island.
Good morning.
Good morning, Captain Lombard.
Good morning. Boat here yet?
No.
Bit late, isn't it?
Yes.
Good morning. You and I could have had a swim before breakfast. Too bad all this.
Too bad you overslept yourself.
Must have pretty good nerves to sleep like that.
Nothing makes me lose my sleep.
Didn't dream of, I don't know, African natives by any chance, did you?
No, did you dream of convicts from Dartmoor?
Look here, Captain Lombard. I don't think that's funny.
Well, you started it, you know. I'm hungry. What about breakfast?
The whole domestic staff seems to have gone on strike.
Oh well, we can always forage for ourselves.
Hello, that's strange.
What is?
You remember we found one of these little fellows smashed last night?
Yes, that ought to leave 9.
Yes, that ought to leave 9. I'm certain there were 10 of them here when we arrived.
Well,
Well, there are only 8.
so there are.
I think it's queer, don't you?
Probably only 9 to begin with. We assumed there were 10 because of the rhyme. Hello, Armstrong. I say, what's the matter?
Ethel Rogers is dead.
No.
How? Died in her sleep. Rogers thought she was under the influence of that sleeping draught I gave her last night and came down without disturbing her. She lit the kitchen fire and did this room. Then as Ethel hadn't appeared, she went up, was alarmed by the look of her and came hunting for me. Ethel's been dead about 5 hours, I should say.
What was it? Heart?
Impossible to say. It may have been.
She might have been poisoned, I suppose, Doctor.
It is perfectly possible.
With the same stuff as young Marston.
No, not cyanide. It would have to have been a hypnotic or narcotic. One of the barbiturates or chloral, something like that.
You did give her some sleeping stuff last night, didn't you?
Yes, I gave her a mild dose of luminol.
Didn't give her too much, did you?
Certainly not. What do you mean?
All right, no offense, no offense. I just thought that perhaps and she had a weak
The
heart.
amount I gave her could not have hurt anyone.
Then what exactly did happen?
Impossible to say without an autopsy.
If, for instance, this death had occurred in the case of one of your private patients, what would have been your procedure?
Without any previous knowledge of the woman's state of health, I could certainly not give a certificate.
She was a very nervous-looking creature, and she had a bad fright last night. Perhaps it was heart failure.
Her heart certainly failed to beat, but what caused it to fail?
Conscience.
What exactly do you mean by that, Miss Brent?
You all heard? She was accused, together with her sister, of having deliberately murdered their former employer, an old lady.
And you believe that's true, Miss Brent?
Certainly. You all saw her. She broke down completely and fainted. The shock of having her wickedness brought home to her was too much for her. She literally died of fear.
It is a possible theory. One cannot adopt it without a more exact knowledge of the woman's state of health. If there was a latent cardiac weakness...
Call it, if you prefer, an act of God.
Oh no, Miss Brent.
You regard it as impossible that a sinner should be struck down by the wrath of God?
Sort of.
I do not.
My dear lady, in my experience of ill-doing, Providence leaves the work of conviction and chastisement to us mortals, and the process is often fraught with difficulties. There are no shortcuts.
Let's be practical. What did the woman have to eat and drink last night after she went to bed?
Nothing.
Nothing at all. Not a cup of tea or a glass of water. I bet she had a cup of tea. That's what it always does.
Rogers assures me Ethel had nothing whatever.
Excuse me, miss. I'm getting on with breakfast, but I'm not much for a hand as a cook, I'm afraid. It's lunch that's worrying me. Would cold tongue and gelatin be satisfactory? And I could manage some fried potatoes, and of course there's tinned fruit, cheese, and biscuits.
That will be fine, Rogers.
Lunch. We're shaping here for lunch. And when the hell's that boat coming?
Mr. Bloor!
What?
You'll pardon me, sir, but the boat won't be coming.
What?
Fred Narcott, he's always here before 8 o'clock. Would you like anything else, miss?
No, thank you, Rogers.
And it's not Rogers. Her sister lying dead upstairs. And there she is, cooking breakfast and calmly talking about lunch. And now she says the boat will be coming. How the hell does she know?
Mr. Bloor!
What?
Don't you see? She's dazed. She's just carrying on automatically as a good servant would. It's pathetic, really.
She's pulling a fast one if you ask me.
The really significant thing is the failure of the boat to arrive. It means that we are being deliberately cut off from help.
That's very little time. Very little time.
What's that, General?
Very little time. We mustn't waste it talking about things that don't matter.
Why do you think Narracott hasn't turned up?
I think the ubiquitous Mr. Owen has given orders.
You mean told him it's all a practical joke or something of that sort?
He'd never fall for that, would he?
Why not? Soldier Island's got a reputation for people having crazy parties. This is just another crazy idea, that's all. Narracott knows there's enough food and drink in the island. He probably thinks it's all a huge joke.
Couldn't we light a bonfire up on the top of the island so that they'd see it?
All signals are to be ignored. We're cut off, all right.
Can't we do something?
Oh yes, we can do something. We can find the funny gentleman who staged this little joke, Mr. Unknown Owen. I'll bet you anything you like he's somewhere on the island, and the sooner we get hold of him, the better. Because in my opinion, he's as mad as a hatter and as dangerous as a rattlesnake.
Hardly a very good simile, Captain Lombard. The rattlesnake at least gives warning of its approach.
Warning? My God, yes, that's our warning. 10 little soldier boys. There were 10 of us after Narracott went, weren't there? 10 little soldier boys went out to dine. One choked himself. Marston choked himself, didn't he? And then 9 little soldier boys sat up very late. One overslept himself. Overslept himself. That last part fits Ethel Rogers rather well, doesn't it?
You don't think... Do you mean that he wants to kill us all?
Yes, I think he does.
And each one fits with the rhyme?
No. No. It's impossible. It's coincidence. It must be coincidence.
Only 8 little soldier boys here. I suppose that's coincidence too? What do you think, Flor?
I don't like it.
This is terrible. None of us will ever leave this island.
Can't somebody shut up, Grandpa?
Don't you agree with me, Sir Lawrence?
Up to a point, yes.
Then let's get to work. The sooner we get hold of this guy, the better. Come on, Armstrong. Come on, Bloor.
I'm ready. Nobody's got a revolver by any chance, do they?
I've got one.
Always carry that about with you?
Usually. I've been in some tight places, you know.
Probably never been in a tighter place than you are today. If there's a homicidal lunatic hiding somewhere on this island, he's probably got a whole arsenal on him. He'll use it.
You may be wrong there, Lore. Many homicidal maniacs are very quiet, unassuming people.
Just delightful fellows.
You'd never expect there was anything wrong with them.
Well, if Mr. Owen turns out to be one of that kind, we'll leave him to you, Doctor. Now then, I suggest we make a start. You search the house while we do the island.
Right. House ought to be easy. No sliding panels or secret doors.
Be sure to get him before he gets you.
Don't worry, but you two had better watch out. Remember, one got left behind.
Come on, Armstrong.
A very energetic young man, that Captain Lombard.
Don't you think he's right? If someone is hiding on the island, they'll be bound to find them. It's practically bare rock.
I think this problem needs brains to solve it, rather than brawn.
Where are you going?
I'm going to sit in the sun and think, my dear young lady.
Now where did I put that skein of wool? Did you leave it upstairs? Shall I go see if I can find it? No. I'll go. I know where it's likely to be. I'm glad Captain Lombard has got a revolver.
They're all wasting time. Wasting time.
Do you think so?
Yes. It's much better to sit quietly and wait.
Wait for what?
For the end, of course. I wish I could find Leslie.
Your wife?
Yes. I wish you'd known her. She was so pretty, so gay.
Was she?
I loved her very much. Of course. I was a lot older than she was. She was only 27, you know. Arthur Richmond was 26. He was my ADC. Leslie liked him. They used to talk of music and plays together, and she teased and made fun of him. I was pleased. I thought she took a motherly interest in the boy. Damn fool, wasn't I? No fool like an old fool. Exactly like a book, the way I found out. When I was out in France, she wrote to the both of us and put the letters in the wrong envelope, so I knew.
Oh no.
It's all right, my dear. It's a long time ago. But you see, I loved her very much and believed in her. I didn't say anything to him. I let it gather inside. Here, a slow, murderous rage. I liked the boy, trusted him.
I wonder what the
I sent him to his death. It was quite easy. Mistakes were being made all the time. All anyone could say was that I'd lost my nerve a bit. Made a blunder. Sacrificed one of my best men, yes. It was quite easy. Leslie never knew. I never told her I'd found out. We went on as usual, but somehow nothing was quite real anymore. She died of pneumonia. She had a heart-shaped face, gray eyes, brown hair that curled.
Oh, don't.
Yes, I suppose in a way, it was murder. curious murder. And I've always been such a law-abiding man. Didn't feel like that at the time. Serves him damn well right! That's what I thought, but after... Well, you know, don't you?
What do you mean?
You don't seem to understand. I thought you would. Thought you'd be glad, too, that the end was coming. We're all going to die, you know.
I don't know.
You haven't got to that yet. The relief. The blessed relief when you know that you've done with it all. That you haven't got to carry that burden any longer.
General.
Don't talk to me that way! You don't understand. I want to sit outside and wait. Wait for Leslie to come for me.
Oh, I'm frightened. Oh, I'm frightened.
Quiet. No secret passage. One corpse.
Don't.
I say, you do look low. How about a drink to steady your nerves?
A drink? Oh, 2 corpses in the house at 9 o'clock in the morning, and all you say is have a drink? Oh, an old man going quite crackers. Have a drink. 10 people accused of murder. That's all right. Just have a drink. Everything's fine so long as you have a drink.
All right. Stay thirsty.
Oh, you are nothing but an adventurer and a waster.
I say, you are het up. What's the matter, my sweet?
I am not your sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I rather thought you were.
Well, you can think again.
Oh, come now. You know you don't really feel like that. We've got something in common, you and I. Rogues and murderers can't fall out.
Rogues and murderers?
All right. You don't like the company of rogues and murderers, and you won't have a drink. I'll go finish searching.
Unpleasant young man. I can't find it anywhere. Is anything the matter? I'm worried about the general. Where is he? Out on the balcony? Looking out for the boat, General? His sin has found him out. Oh, don't. One must face facts. Can any of us afford to throw stones? Even if his wife were no better than she should be, and she must have been a depraved woman. He had no right to take judgment into his own hands. What about Beatrice Taylor? Who? That was the name, wasn't it? You are referring to that absurd accusation about myself? Yes. Now that we are alone, I have no objection to telling you the facts of the case. Indeed, I should like you to hear them. It was not a fit subject to discuss before a gentleman, so naturally I refused to say anything last night. That girl, Beatrice Taylor, was in my service. I was very much deceived in her. She had nice manners and was clean and willing. I was very pleased with her. Of course, all that was the sheerest hypocrisy. She was a loose girl with no morals. Disgusting! It was some time before I found out that she was what they call in trouble. It came as a great shock to me. Her parents were decent folk too, who had brought her up strictly. I'm glad to say they didn't condone her behavior. What happened? Naturally, I refused to keep her an hour under my roof. No one shall ever say I condoned immorality. Did she drown herself? Yes. How old was she? 17. Only 17. Quite old enough to know how to behave. I told her what a low, depraved thing she was. I told her that she was beyond the pale, and that no decent person would take her into their house. I told her that her child would be the child of sin, and would be branded all its life, and that the man would naturally not dream of marrying her. I told her I felt soiled by ever having her under my house. You told a girl of 17 all that? Yes. I'm glad to say I broke her down utterly. Poor little devil. I have no patience with his indulgence towards sin. And then I suppose you turned her out of the house. Of course. And she didn't dare go home. What did you feel like when you found she drowned herself? Feel like? Yes. Didn't you blame yourself?
Certainly not. I had nothing with which to reproach myself.
I believe you really feel like that. That makes it even more horrible. That girl's unbalanced.
The heathen are sunk low in the pit that they have made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The Lord is known by the judgment he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hand.
Breakfast is ready.
Be quiet. The wicked shall be turned into hell.
Do you know where the others are, miss? Breakfast is ready.
Oh, Sir Lawrence Wargrave is sitting out there in the sun. Dr. Armstrong and Mr. Bloor are searching the island. I shouldn't bother about that.
Shall not the isle shake at the sound of the fall, when the wounded cry, when the slaughter is made in the midst of thee?
Shall we go in?
I don't feel like eating.
Breakfast is ready, General.
Then all the princes of the sea shall come down from their thrones, and lay away their robes, and put on their embroidered garments. They shall clothe themselves with trembling. They shall sit upon the ground, and shall tremble at every moment, and shall be astonished at thee.
Reading aloud, Miss Brent.
It is my custom to read a portion of the Bible every day.
Very good habit, I'm sure.
What luck did you have?
There's no cover in the island, no caves, no one could hide anywhere.
That's right. What about the house, Lombard?
No one. I'll stake my life there's no one in the house but ourselves. Been over it from attic to cellar.
Breakfast is getting cold.
Ah, breakfast! Come on, Bloor, you've been yelping for breakfast ever since you got up. Let's eat, drink, and be merry. For tomorrow we die. Or who knows, perhaps even today.
You should be ashamed of such levity, Captain Lombard.
Come on, General, can't have this. Breakfast, I say, sir. Good God! One got left behind. There's a knife in Mackenzie's back.
My God, he's dead. He's dead.
What? How? There's only us on the island. Who could have done it?
Exactly, my dear sir. Don't you realize that this clever and cunning criminal is always comfortably one stage ahead of us? That he knows exactly what we are going to do next and makes his plans accordingly? There is only one place, you know, where a successful murderer could hide and have a reasonable chance at getting away with it.
One place? Where?
Here, in this room. Mr. Owen is one of us.
Said this morning. The murderer is one of us. And I think I know which one.
Really?
You ever heard of the Lizzie Borden case in America?
No.
An old couple killed in the middle of the morning with an axe. Only person who could have done it, the Dodger. A respectable middle-aged spinster. Incredible. So incredible, they acquitted her. But they never found any other explanation.
Then your answer to the question is Miss Emily Brent.
That woman is mad as a hatter. Religious mad, I tell you. She's the one. We must keep a watch on her.
Really? I had formed the impression that your suspicions were in a different quarter.
Yes, but I've changed my mind. And I'll tell you why. She's not scared. And she's the only one who isn't. Why? Because she knows quite well she's in no danger. Shh!
We've made some coffee. It's cold in here.
You wouldn't believe when you think what a beautiful day it was this morning. Thank you.
Are Captain Lombard and Rogers still out?
Yes. No boat without this anyways.
Oh, yes.
Allow me.
Thank you. You were right to insist on our going to lunch and drinking some brandy with it. I feel better.
The court always adjourns for lunch.
All the same, It's a nightmare. It seems as though it can't be true. What are we going to do about it?
We must hold an informal court of inquiry. We may, at the very least, be able to eliminate some innocent people.
You haven't got a hunch of any kind, have you, Miss Claythorne?
If Miss Claythorne suspects one of us three, that is rather an awkward question.
No, I'm sure it isn't any of you. If you ask me who I suspected, I'd say Dr. Armstrong.
Armstrong?
Yes, because don't you see, she's had far and away the best chance to kill Ethel Rogers. Terribly easy for her, as a doctor, to give her an overdose of sleeping stuff.
But she didn't give her the brandy last night, remember?
Her sister had a good opportunity of administering a drug.
It isn't Rogers. She doesn't have the brains to fix all this stunt, nor the money. Besides, she's scared stiff.
Good God, something like a storm out there.
Oh, it's only you. Who did you think it was? Beatrice Taylor? Oh.
No hope of rescue till this dies down. Ah, is that coffee? Good. I'm taking to coffee now, you see.
Such restraint in the face of danger is nothing short of heroic.
I do not, of course, profess to be a weather prophet, but I should say, I think it is very unlikely that a boat could reach us, even if it knew of our plight, in under 24 hours. Even if the wind drops, the sea has still to go down.
You're very wet.
Is anyone a swimmer? Would it be possible to swim to the mainland?
It's over a mile. And in this sea, you'd be dashed on the rocks and drowned. Drowned? Drowned in the pond?
I beg your pardon, Miss Grant.
After dinner nap.
Are you feeling okay?
It's terribly cold in here.
I could light the fire if you like, miss.
That would be a good idea.
A very sound scheme, Rogers.
I'll get some sticks and a few knots of coals, get a nice fire going.
Oh, I wonder if she would like some coffee.
Say, what's become of Armstrong?
She went to her room to rest.
Oh, somebody's probably battered her out by now.
I expect she had the good sense to bolt her door.
It'll be much harder now that we're all on our guard.
I would advise you, Mr. Blore, not to be too confident. I should like to propose certain measures of safety that I think we should all adopt.
Against whom?
Against each other. We are all in grave danger. Of the 10 of us who came to this island, 3 are definitely cleared. There are 7 of us left. 7 little soldier boys.
One of whom is a bogus little soldier boy.
Exactly.
Aside from what Miss Claythorne said just now, I think that you, Sir Lawrence, and Dr. Armstrong are above suspicion. She's a well-known doctor, and you're known all over England.
Mr. Blore, that proves nothing at all. Judges have gone mad before now, so have doctors. So have policemen.
Here, here. Well, does she want some coffee?
She'd rather make herself a nice cup of tea. Oh, what about Dr. Armstrong? Do you think we ought to take her up a cup?
I will take it up if you like.
I can take it. I want to change.
Yes, you ought to. You'll catch cold.
I think Dr. Armstrong might prefer to see me. She might not accept you, Captain Lombard. She might be afraid of your revolver.
Yes, that revolver. I want to word with you about that.
Do go and change.
What did you want to say?
I'm just wondering why you brought a revolver down here on what's supposed to be a little social visit.
You want to know, do you?
Yes.
Well, I've led a rather adventurous life. I've got in the habit of carrying a revolver about with me. Been in a bit of a jam once or twice. Besides, it is a pleasant feeling having a gun handy, you must admit.
We don't carry them. Now then, I want the truth about this revolver.
What a suspicious fellow you are, Blore.
I know a fishy story when I hear one.
If it's about that revolver, I'd like to hear what you've got to say.
Oh well, I received a letter asking me to come here as the guest of Mr. and Mrs. Owen. It would be worth my while. The writer said he heard I got a reputation for being a good man in a tight place. There'd be some danger, but I'd be all right if I kept my eyes open.
I'd never fall for that.
Well, I did. I was bored. God, how I was bored back in this tame country. It was an intriguing proposition, you must admit.
Too vague for my liking.
That was the whole charm of it. It aroused my curiosity.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yes, quite.
Do go and change, please.
I'm going, my sweet, I'm going. The maternal instinct, I think it's called.
Don't be ridiculous.
That's a tall story. If it's true, why didn't you tell it to us last night?
Perhaps he thought this was exactly the kind of emergency for which he had been prepared.
Perhaps it is.
I hardly think so. It was just Mr. Owen's little bit of cheese to get him into the trap with the rest of us. He must have known him well enough to rely on his curiosity.
If that's true, he's a wrong that man. I wouldn't trust him a yard.
Are you such a good judge of truth?
We must get out of here. We must before it's too late.
The one thing we must not do is give away to nerves.
I'm sorry. Rather a case of physician. Heal thyself, but I've been overworked lately and run down.
Sleeping badly?
Yes, I keep dreaming. Hospital, operation, a knife at my throat.
Real nightmares.
Yes. Do you ever dream you're in court, sentencing a man to death?
Are you by any chance referring to a man called Edward Seaton? I can assure you I shall not lose any sleep over the death of Edward Seaton, a particularly brutal and cold-blooded murderer. The jury liked him, they were inclined to let him off. I could see, however, I cooked Seaton's goose.
Isn't it?
I wish Rogers would hurry up.
Where is Rogers? She's been a long time.
She said she'd got to get some sticks.
Sticks. My God, sticks!
My God!
Is no more part of the only six?
There are only 5.
Rogers and Lombard.
Oh no, not Philip!
Rogers!
Where the devil is Bloor off to like a madman?
Oh, Philip.
Have you seen Rogers?
No, why should I?
2 more soldiers have gone.
2?
I thought it was you.
Well, what's the matter?
In the scullery.
Is she?
Oh yes, she's done all right.
How?
Someone must have come up behind her with an axe while she was bent over the wood box.
One chopped himself in half. And then there were 6. Oh my God! Oh my God! Philip,
Stop
get
it.
out of here.
Stop it there. Stop it.
Oh my goodness.
She'll be all right. Well, what's next? Bees? Do they keep bees on the island?
What?
That's the next verse, isn't it? 6 little soldier boys playing with a hive, a bumblebee stung one, and then there were 5. A bumblebee stung one. We all look pretty spry. Nothing wrong with any of us. My God. You don't think. Miss Brent?
Oh my God.
A hypodermic syringe.
The modern bee sting.
While she was sitting there. One of us.
One of us.
Which of us?
Five little soldier boys sitting in a row, watching each other and waiting for the blow. New version, up to date.
I hardly think this is the moment for facetiousness.
Have to relieve the gloom. Blast that electric plant running down. Say, let's play a nice round game. What about inventing one called suspicions? A suspects B, B suspects C, and so on. Let's start with Bloor. It's not hard to guess whom Bloor suspects. It sticks out a mile. I'm your fancy, aren't I, Bloor?
I won't say no to that.
You're quite wrong, you know. Abstract justice isn't my line. If I committed murder, there would have to be something in it for me.
All I can say is, you've acted suspiciously from the start. You've told 2 different stories, you came with a revolver, and now you say you've lost it.
I have lost it.
That's a likely story.
What do you think I've done with it? I suggested myself that you should search me.
Well, you don't have it on you now. Where'd it go?
Use your brains, Bloor. If I'd wanted to, I could have shot the lot of you by this time. Pop, 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 and pop.
Yes, but that's not the big idea.
Oh, what? The crazy touch? My God, man, I'm sane enough.
The doctor says there's some lunatics you wouldn't even know are lunatics. I say that's true enough.
We shouldn't just sit here, doing nothing. Surely there's something we can do if we lit a bonfire?
It is, I am afraid, a question of time and patience. The weather will clear, then we can do something. Light a bonfire, heliograph, signal.
A question of time. Time? We can't afford time. We shall all be dead.
I think the precautions we have now adopted will be adequate.
I tell you, we shall all be dead. All but one. He'll think of something. He's thinking now.
Poor Louise. What was her name? Please? Was it nerves that made you do her in, doctor?
No. Drink. I was a heavy drinker, God help me. I was drunk when I operated quite a simple operation. My hand shaking everywhere. I can see her now. A big, heavy, countrified woman, and I killed her.
So I was right. That's how it was.
Sister knew, of course, but she was loyal to me, or to the hospital. I gave up drink. Gave it up altogether. I went in for a study of nervous diseases.
Very successfully.
1 or 2 lucky shots. Important results with 1 or 2 important women. They told their friends. For the past year or 2, I've been so busy, I've hardly known which way to turn.
Until Mr. Unknown Owen. And then down will come cradle and doctor and all.
Will you stop your sneering and joking?
Captain, doctor, please. We can't afford to quarrel.
All right, that's fine by me. I apologize.
It's this terrible inactivity that gets on my nerves.
We are adopting, I feel convinced, the only measures possible. So long as we remain together, all within sight of each other, a repetition of the tragedies that have occurred must be impossible. We have all submitted to a search, therefore we know that no one is armed either with a firearm or a knife, nor has anyone got cyanide or any drug about their person. If we remain, as I say, all within sight of each other, nothing can happen.
But we can't go on like this. We shall need food, sleep.
That's what I say.
Obviously, the murderer's only chance is to get one of us detached from the rest. So long as we prevent that, we are safe.
Safe.
You're very silent, Vera.
There isn't anything to say. I wonder what the time is. It's this awful waiting. Waiting for the hours to go by and yet feeling that they may be the last. What is the time?
8:30.
Is that all?
Awful light this. How are the candles holding out?
So's the whole packet. Storm's dying down a bit. What do you think, sir?
We mustn't be too optimistic.
The murderers got everything on their side. Even the weather seems to be falling in with their plans.
What about something to eat?
If you like, I'll go out and open some tongue and make some coffee. But you four stay here. That's right, isn't it?
Not quite. You see, it might be inadvisable to eat or drink something that you had prepared out of our sight.
Oh. You don't like me, do you?
It's not a question of likes or dislikes.
There are very few tricks that will get past you, Sir Lawrence. You know, if you won't be offended at my saying so, you are my fancy.
This is hardly the moment, Captain Lombard, for any of us to indulge in the luxury of taking offense.
I don't think it's Blore. I may be wrong, but I can't feel you've got enough imagination for this job. All I can say is, if you are the murderer, I take my hat off to you for a fine actor.
Thanks for nothing.
Don't think it's the doctor. Don't feel she's got the nerve. You've got plenty of nerve, Vera. On the other hand, you strike me as eminently sane. Therefore, you'd only do murder if you had a thoroughly good motive.
Thank you.
I've thought of something.
Splendid! Animal, vegetable, or mineral?
That man says he's a police officer, but we've no proof of that. He only said so after the gramophone record, when his name had been given. Before that, he was pretending to be a South African millionaire. Perhaps the police officer is just another impersonation. What do we know about him? Nothing at all.
He's a policeman, all right. Look at his shoes.
Thank you. That's enough for you, Mr. Lombard.
Well, now we know where we are. Oh, by the way, Miss Claythorne suspects you, Doctor. Oh, yes. Haven't you seen her shoot a dirty look from time to time? It all works out quite prettily. I suspect Sir Lawrence Bloor suspects me. Armstrong suspects Bloor. What about you, sir?
Quite early in the day, I formed a certain conclusion. It seems to me that everything that had occurred pointed quite unmistakably to one person. I am still of the same opinion.
Which one?
Well, no, I think it would be inadvisable to mention that person's name at the present moment.
Inadvisable in the public interest?
Exactly.
What about the food idea?
No. We're safe here. Let's stay here.
I can't say I'm hungry.
Can't say I'm ravenous myself. You can go out and have a guzzle by yourself, Bloor.
Suppose I go and bring a tin of biscuits.
Good idea. Oh, Bloor.
Yes?
An unopened tin, Bloor.
Yep.
How does it go? 5 little soldier boys.
Going in for law. One got in chancery.
In chancery. But how could that apply? Unless, of course...
Precisely, my dear young lady. That's why I'm sitting right here.
But I'm casting you for the role of murderer, not victim.
The term can apply to a boxer.
Perhaps we shall start a free fight. Well, that seems to let you out, my dear.
That awful rhyme. It keeps going round and round in my head. I think I'll remember it till I die. Mr. Bloor's a long time.
Oh, I expect the big bad wolf has got him.
I have asked you once before to try and restrain your rather peculiar sense of humor, Captain Lombard.
Sorry, sir, it must be a form of nervousness.
Put your hands up. Search him. Biscuit, Miss Claythorne?
No, thank you.
Oh, come now, you had no dinner.
I couldn't eat anything.
I warn you, Bloor will wolf the lot.
I don't see why you need to be so funny about this. Starving ourselves will do us no good. How are we off for cigarettes?
I haven't got any.
I've run out too.
Fortunately, I'm a pipe smoker.
I've got a whole box upstairs in my suitcase. I'll fetch them. I could do with a cigarette myself. See that you all stay where you are.
Not bad biscuit.
What are they? Cheese?
Cheese and celery.
That girl ought to have had some.
Her nerves are in a bad state.
I don't know that I'd agree with you there, Doctor. Miss Claythorne strikes me as a rather cool and resourceful young lady. Quite remarkably so.
They're up!
Miss Claythorne!
Where are you?
What's happening?
Who's that?
Look!
Oh my God! Philip! Philip, where are you? I've lost you!
Here I am.
Why can't we have some light? It's awful here in the dark. You don't know where you are. You don't know where anyone is.
It's that draft on the stairs, blowing all the candles out. Here, I've got a lighter.
Where's Dr. Armstrong?
I'm hunting for the matches.
Never mind matches, get some more candles.
I was horrified to death. It went right around my throat.
What did?
The window was open in my room. It blew out my candle when I opened the door. And then a long strand of seaweed touched my throat. I thought in the dark that I was being strangled by a wet hand.
I don't wonder you yelled.
Who hung the seaweed there?
I don't know, but when I find him, he'll be sorry he was ever born.
Who's that?
It's all right, Miss Claythorne. It's only me.
Here we are. Who fired that shot?
Wargrave. He's there. Shot through the head.
One got in chancery. And then there were 4.
Miss Claythorne.
Vera?
You got me out of the way. You got me to go upstairs for cigarettes. You put that seaweed there. You did it all so that you could kill that helpless old man in the dark. You're mad. All of you. Crazy. It was all planned long ago for that. Oh my God. Let me get out of here.
3 little soldier boys sitting in a row, thinking as they guzzle, who's the next to go?
Oh, Philip.
That's all right, Miss Playthorne. I don't mind joking on a full stomach.
I must say I was hungry. All the same, I don't think I shall ever fancy tinned tongue again.
I've been wanting that meal. I feel a new man.
We've been nearly 24 hours without food. That does lower the morale.
Somehow in the daylight, everything seems different.
Oh, you mustn't forget there's still a dangerous homicidal lunatic somewhere loose on the island.
Why is it one doesn't feel jittery about it anymore?
Because we know now, beyond any doubt, who it is. Abelor?
That's right.
It was the uncertainty before. Watching each other, wondering which.
I said all along it was Dr. Armstrong.
Yes, you did, my dear, you did. Until you went completely bats and suspected assault.
But how do you think Armstrong got hold of your revolver?
Haven't the slightest idea.
What exactly did you find?
One shoe. Just one shoe sitting prettily on the cliff's edge. Inference, Dr. Armstrong has gone completely off her onion and committed suicide.
That's all very circumstantial. Even to the one China soldier broken there in the doorway.
I think that was rather overdoing it. A person wouldn't think of doing that if she was going to drown herself.
Yes, but we're quite sure she didn't drown herself. But she had to make it appear as though she were the 7th victim, all according to plan.
Suppose she really is dead?
I'm a bit suspicious of death without bodies.
How extraordinary to think that there are 5 dead bodies in there and we've eaten tinned tongue.
The delightful feminine disregard for the facts. There are 6 bodies and they're not all in there.
No. She's right. There are only 5.
Now look here. Marston 1, Ethel Rogers 2, General Mackenzie 3, Elsie Rogers 4, Emily Brent 5, and Wargrave 6.
7, 8, 9. Armstrong makes 10. Sorry, old boy.
Say, wouldn't it be an idea if we brought Ethel Rogers downstairs and shoved her in the morgue too?
I'm a detective, not an undertaker.
For heaven's sake, stop talking about bodies. The point is, Armstrong's murdered them.
We ought to have realized it was Armstrong all along.
But how the devil did Armstrong get hold of your revolver?
Haven't the slightest idea. Don't know why she chucked it either. Either an accident or she's crazy.
Tell me exactly what happened in the night?
Well, after you threw a fit of hysterics and locked yourself in your room, we all decided it would be best to go to bed. So we all went to bed and locked ourselves in our rooms.
About an hour later, I heard someone pass by my door. So, I tapped on Bloor's door. He was there all right. Then I went to Armstrong's room. It was empty. That's when I came to your door, tapped on it, told you to sit tight, whatever happened. Then I came downstairs. The window on the balcony was open and my revolver was lying just beside it.
But why the devil should Armstrong chuck the revolver down there?
Like I said, I haven't the slightest idea.
Where do you think she is?
Lurking somewhere, waiting to have a crack at one of us.
We ought to search the house.
What, and walk into an ambush?
Oh, I never thought of that.
Say, you didn't hear anyone move about after we went out, did you?
I imagined all sorts of things, but nothing short of setting the house on fire would have got me to unlock my door.
I see. Just thoroughly suspicious.
What's the use of talking? What are we gonna do?
If you ask me, nothing. Sit tight and take no risks.
Look here, I want to go after her.
What a dog of the bulldog breed you are, Bloor. By the way, between friends and without prejudice, you did go in for that little bit of perjury, didn't you?
I don't suppose it makes any odds now. Lander was innocent, all right. The game squared me, and between us, we put him away for a stretch. Mind you, I couldn't have been in front of
You
that.
think we're all in the same boat?
Well, I couldn't have been in front of Mr. Justice Wargrave, could I?
No, hardly.
Do you think that fellow Seaton was guilty?
No, I'm sure he was innocent. Wargrave had a reason for wanting him out of the way. Well, I'm delighted to see you come off your virtuous perch, Bloor. I hope you made a tidy bit out of it.
Nothing like what I ought to have done. There me not that Benny gang. I got my promotion, though.
And Landor got penal servitude and died in jail.
I couldn't tell he was gonna die, could I?
No, that was your bad luck.
His, you mean?
Yours too, because as a result of that fact, you may get your life cut short unpleasantly soon.
What? Me? By Armstrong? I'll watch it.
You'll have to. Remember, there are only 3 little soldier boys there.
Oh, well, what about you?
I shall be quite all right, thank you. I've been in tight places before and I've got out. And I mean to get out of this one. Besides, I've got a revolver.
Yes, that revolver. You said you found it lying down there. What's to say you haven't had it on you this whole time?
Same old gramophone record. No room in your head for more than one idea at a time, is there?
No, but it's a good idea.
And you are sticking to it.
I would have thought of a better story than that if I were you.
I just wanted something simple that a policeman could understand.
What's wrong with the police?
Nothing! Now that you've left the force.
If you're an honest man,
come forward. Neither of us honest.
If you're telling the truth for once, you ought to do the square thing and chuck the revolver out there.
Don't be a fool.
I said I'll go to the house searching for Armstrong. Haven't I? If I'm going to do that, will you let me that revolver?
No, the revolver's mine. It's my revolver and I'm sticking to it.
You know what I'm beginning to think?
You're not beginning to think it. You thought it last night and now you've gone back to your original idea. I'm the one and only you and unknown Owen. Is that it?
I won't contradict you.
Well, you can think what you please, but I warn you, if I were any less...
I think that you are both acting like a pair of children.
Sorry, teacher.
Of course Captain Lombard isn't the unknown. The unknown Owen is Armstrong. And I'll tell you one very good proof of it.
And what's that?
Think of the rhyme. 4 little soldier boys going out to sea. A red herring swallowed one, and then there were 3. Don't you see the subtlety of it? A red herring? That's Armstrong's pretended suicide. But it's only a red herring. So really, she isn't dead.
That's very ingenious.
To my mind, it's absolute proof. You see, it's all mad because she's mad. She takes a queer, childish, crazy pleasure in sticking to the rhyme and making everything happen in that way. Killing Rogers while she was chopping sticks. Using a hypodermic needle on Miss Brent when she might just as well have drugged her. She's got to make it all fit in.
Yes, that might give us a pointer. Where do we go from here? 3 little soldier boys walking the zoo. A big bear hugged one, and then there were 2. He'll have a job at that one. There's no zoo on the island. Well, what about a nice bottle of beer?
Do stop thinking about your stomach, Lord. This craving for food and drink will be your undoing.
But there's plenty of beer in the kitchen.
Yes, and if anyone wanted to get rid of you, the first place they'd think of putting a lethal dose would be in a nice bottle of beer.
What's that? A boat? A boat? Ah!
Oh, God!
Laura's got his.
Oh, how?
A booby trap. Wire across the door attached to something above.
Is he?
Yes. Dead. Head stove in. Crushed. That great bronze bear from above the landing.
A bear? Oh, how ghastly. It's this awful childishness.
I know. God, what a fool Blore was.
And now there are 2.
Yes, and we'll have to be very careful of ourselves.
We shan't do it. She'll get us. We'll never get away from this island.
Yes, we will. I've never been beaten yet.
Don't you feel that there's someone now in this room watching us? Watching and waiting?
That's just nerves.
Then you do feel it.
No, I don't.
Please, Phil, let's get out of this house anywhere. Perhaps if that was a boat, they'll see us.
All right, we'll go to the top of the island. It's sheer cliff on the far side, and we can see if anyone approaches from the house.
Anything's better than staying here.
Won't you be rather cold in that dress?
I'd be colder if I were dead.
Perhaps you're right. A quick reconnaissance.
Be careful, Phil, please.
Don't worry, I'm not Blore. There's no window directly above. Hello. There's something washed up on the rocks.
What? It looks like a body.
You'd better wait in there. I'm going to have a look.
Armstrong. Armstrong's body.
It's Armstrong, all right. Washed up at high water mark.
So, there's no one on the island. No one at all except us 2.
Yes, now we know where we are.
Now we know where we are.
A very pretty trick of yours with that wire. Quite neat. Wargrave always knew you were dangerous.
You don't think that...
You did kill that kid after all.
I didn't! That's where you're wrong. Please believe me. Please listen to me.
I'm listening. You'd better make it a good story.
It isn't a story, it's the truth. I didn't kill that child. It was someone else.
Who?
A man. Peter's uncle. I was in love with him.
Oh, go Go on, this is quite interesting.
Don't sneer. It was hell. Absolute hell. Peter was born after his father's death. If he'd been a girl, he would have got everything.
The well-known tale of the wicked uncle.
Yes, he was wicked, and I didn't know. He said he'd loved me, but that he was too poor to marry. There was a rock far out that Peter was always wanting to swim to. Of course I wouldn't let him. It was dangerous. One day, we were on the beach, and I had to go back to the house for something I'd forgotten. When I got back, I saw Peter swimming out to the rock. I knew he hadn't a chance. The current had got him already. I flew towards the beach, but Hugh tried to stop me. Don't be a fool, he said. I told the little brat he could do it.
Go on.
I pushed past him. He tried to stop me, but I got away and rushed down. I plunged into the sea and swam after Peter, but he'd gone before I could get to him.
And everything went off well at the inquest? They called you a plucky girl and you kept discreetly quiet about Hugh's part of the business.
Do you think anyone would have believed me? Besides, I couldn't. I really was in love with him.
Well, it's a very pretty story. And then I suppose Hugh let you down?
Do you think I ever wanted to see him again?
You certainly are an accomplished liar, Vera.
Can't you believe the truth when you hear it?
Who set the trap that killed Blore? I didn't, and Armstrong's dead. I've broken most of the commandments in my life, and I am no saint, but there is one thing I won't stand for, and that's murder.
You won't stand for murder. What about those natives you left to die in Africa?
That's what's so funny. I didn't.
What do you mean?
For once, just once, mark you, I played the hero. Risked my life to save the lives of my men. Left them my rifle and ammunition and all the food there was and took a chance through the bush. By the most incredible luck, it came off. But it wasn't in time to save them. And the rumor got around that I deliberately abandoned my men. There's life for you.
Do you expect me to believe that? You actually admitted the whole thing.
Yes, I know. I got such a kick out of watching their faces.
You can't fool me with a stupid lie like that.
Blast you.
Why didn't I see it before? It's there in your face. The face of a killer.
You can't fool me any longer.
You bastard.
You cunning little devil.
If you take one step near, I'll shoot.
You, young, lovely, and quite mad.
Philip.
It's all come true. My 10 little soldiers planned my rhyme. Silence in the court. If there's any more noise, I shall have the court cleared. It's all right, my darling, it's all right. Don't be frightened. This is a court of justice. You'll get justice here. You thought I was a ghost. You thought I was dead. Armstrong said I was dead. That was the clever part of my plan. Said we'd trap the murderer. We'd fix up my supposed death so that I should be free to spy upon the guilty. She thought it an excellent plan. Came out to meet me that night by the cliff without any suspicion. I sent her over with a push so easily. She swallowed my red herring all right. You know, Vera Claythorne, all my life, I've wanted to take life. Yes, to take life. I meant to get what enjoyment I could out of sentencing the guilty to death. But it wasn't enough. I wanted more. I wanted to do it myself with my own hands. But I am a judge of the high court. I've got a sense of justice. As between our sovereign lord the king and the prisoner at the bar, will true deliverance make guilty, my lord? Yes, guilty. You are guilty, you know, but the law didn't touch you. So I had to take the law into my own hands. Silence in the court. Anthony Marston first, then Ethel Rogers, Barbertown and the Brandy, Mackenzie stabbed, got Elsie with an axe while she was out chopping sticks, doped Emily Brent's coffee so she couldn't feel the hypodermic. Booby trapped for Blore. Blore was a fool. I always knew it would be easy to get Blore. Now return that revolver. That was a clever touch. Made the end interesting. I knew you two would suspect each other. In the end, the question was, who would win out? I banked on you, my dear, the female of the species. Besides, it's always more exciting to have a girl at the end. Prisoner at the bar, have you anything to say in your defense? Vera Elizabeth Claythorne, I sentence you to death!
No! Stop! I'm not guilty! I'm not guilty!
They all say that! Must plead not guilty! Unless, of course, you're going all out for a verdict of insanity. But you're not mad. I'm mad, but you're not.
But I am innocent! I swear it! I never killed that child! I never wanted to kill him! You're a judge. You know when a person is guilty and when they're innocent. I swear, I'm telling the truth.
So you didn't drown that boy after all. Very interesting. Doesn't matter much now, does it?
What?
I can't spoil my lovely rhyme. My 10 little soldiers. You're the last one. One little soldier boy left all alone. She went and hanged herself. I must have my hanging! My hanging!
Philip, you're alive!
It's all right, my dear, it's all right.
I thought you were dead! I thought I killed you!
Thank God you can't shoot straight. Not straight enough.
I shall never forget this!
Yes, you will. You know, there's another ending to that 10 little soldier boys rhyme. One little soldier boy left all alone. We got married, and then there were none.